Something big might be brewing in the DC world again, and it could change everything. Reports are exploding online that Netflix might actually be in talks to buy Warner Brothers. But what would it really mean for DC fans if this insane rumor turns out to be true? You don't have to be an insider to know that James Gunn's DC universe has had a rocky start. When Warner Brothers announced Gunn and Peter Safran as the new co-heads of DC Studios, it was supposed to be a fresh beginning, a hard reboot to fix years of chaos left behind by the DCEU. But instead of excitement, what followed was division, disappointment, and a storm of online backlash. Let's be honest, the last few months have not been kind to DC. Reports surfaced that Superman, Legacy, the movie that was supposed to be Gunn's shining reboot, underperformed massively, allegedly costing the studio over $40 million in losses. Then, Peacemaker Season 2, one of the few DC projects fans were actually curious about, reportedly lost nearly 40% of its audience after just one episode. And many fans who once defended Gunn's vision began questioning whether this new DCU really had a direction, or if Warner Brothers had made another mistake by tearing down what Zack Snyder had built. The bigger question started echoing across the fandom. If this new DCU isn't working, could Warner Brothers be heading toward another massive shift? And right in the middle of all this chaos, Zack Snyder started posting pictures of Henry Cavill as Superman again. For Snyder fans, it was a signal, a quiet spark of hope in a time when DC felt completely directionless. And it didn't stop there. Snyder posted more throwbacks, more images of his Justice League era. And for fans who followed this journey since 2013, it felt like he was teasing something. The timing was too perfect to ignore. Because around the same time, rumors started spreading that Netflix was quietly moving behind the scenes, preparing to buy Warner Brothers Discovery. It started as a small rumor, a speculative article that most fans ignored at first. But then the details began to line up in an eerily convincing way. According to multiple sources, Netflix had tapped an investment bank, the same one used by Paramount, during its Skydance deal to explore the possibility of acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery. Now, on the surface, that sounds insane. That's like a streaming giant buying an entire studio. But when you look at the recent business moves, it starts to make sense. A few weeks before the rumor broke, Netflix announced something huge, a 10-for-1 stock split. That's when a company divides its existing shares to make them more affordable and attract new investors. In simple terms, it's what big companies do when they're expanding or preparing for a major acquisition. And when Netflix did that, many business analysts started connecting the dots. They're growing aggressively. They want more IPs. They want to compete not just in streaming, but in cinematic franchises. And what's the one company that has a treasure chest of characters, yet keeps fumbling them? Behind all the flashy logos and superhero trailers, Warner Brothers Discovery has been struggling. Since the merger, the studio has been dealing with massive debt over $40 billion. They've been canceling films left and right, shelving completed projects, and constantly rebranding their streaming service. From HBO Max to Max, it's been chaos. To investors, these aren't the moves of a confident studio. They're the moves of a company in survival mode. So when news broke that Paramount tried to buy Warner Bros. 3 times and got rejected each time, people started wondering who else could step in. And then Netflix's name appeared. A company with deep pockets, global reach, and a history of giving filmmakers like Zack Snyder complete creative control. It suddenly made perfect sense. Here's where things get exciting for DC fans. If Netflix really does buy Warner Brothers, it could completely rewrite the future of the SnyderVerse. Remember, Netflix already has a strong working relationship with Zack Snyder. They gave him one of the biggest budgets in streaming history for Rebel Moon, trusted his vision, and built an entire franchise around his creative style. So imagine a world where Netflix owns Warner Brothers, and they turn to Snyder with a simple question: do you want to finish what you started? Because let's be honest, no one has managed to replicate what Snyder built. The SnyderVerse was dark, complex, emotional, and divisive, but it had a soul. And that's something the DCU has been missing ever since. So if Netflix acquires Warner Brothers, Snyder could return not as a hired director, but as a creative head for the entire DC branch. He'd finally have full control, no interference, no rewrites, no last-minute cuts. And for fans, that would mean a full-circle moment, Cavill back as Superman, Ben Affleck's Batman finally getting closure, and maybe even the restoration of the original Justice League Part 2 plan. From a business perspective, Netflix is one of the few companies that could actually pull this off. Unlike Paramount or Amazon, Netflix already dominates the streaming space. But what they lack are long-term franchise IPs. Disney has Marvel and Star Wars. Amazon has The Lord of the Rings. Netflix, despite its success, has been built on short-term hits series that blow up for a month and then vanish from conversation. But if they own DC, they instantly get access to 80-plus years of content, characters, and cinematic potential. That's not just a dream. That's a strategy that could make Netflix untouchable in entertainment. The Snyder fans have done something almost unheard of in Hollywood. They turned a canceled vision into a global movement. Restore the SnyderVerse trended for years. Release the Snyder Cut made Warner Brothers give in something no fan movement had ever achieved on that scale. And now a new phrase is making rounds online. While it's closed, it's not just a hashtag, it's a protest. Thousands of fans have openly refused to support Gunn's DCU projects, calling for a complete boycott until Snyder's vision is restored. And that movement has power. When Superman Legacy flopped, many fans took it as proof that DC audiences are done settling for half-hearted reboots. They want something with vision, something that feels earned, something like the SnyderVerse. So if Netflix takes over Warner Brothers, they won't just be buying a studio. They'll be inheriting an entire fan army, loyal, passionate, and ready to support Snyder's return the second it's confirmed. When you look at the facts, the financial decline of Warner Brothers, Netflix's expansion moves, Snyder's cryptic activity, and the silence from DC executives, it's not impossible. Because at the end of the day, every major shift in Hollywood starts as a rumor. And sometimes, rumors are just early truths waiting to be confirmed. Now, let's be fair. There's still a chance this doesn't happen. Some insiders claim Warner Brothers wouldn't sell DC because it's their crown jewel IP. Others say Netflix might not want the financial baggage that comes with Warner's massive debt. And yes, corporate mergers take months, sometimes years. So it's not like we'll wake up tomorrow and see the Netflix logo before the Batman 2. But here's the thing, whether it happens next year or in 5 years, Warner Bros. Can't keep bleeding money. And Netflix, hungry for dominance, is one of the few giants that could afford to make this move. So even if it's just a 97% chance, it's still a chance worth paying attention to. If Netflix does buy Warner Brothers, DC's entire creative direction will change overnight. The streaming wars would tilt in Netflix's favor. The Snyderverse could be revived, and the cinematic universe that once divided fans might finally find its balance again under one clear vision. We could see mature storytelling, crossovers that make sense, and projects that aren't canceled halfway through. Snyder has already proven he can deliver spectacle and emotion, something DC has been missing. Imagine a world where DC isn't playing catch-up to Marvel anymore. DC fans have waited for years for a clear direction, for a leader who understands not just the characters, but the spirit behind them. Maybe Netflix's rumored move is that turning point. Maybe it's just another false dawn. But one thing's clear, as long as there are fans who believe in Snyder's vision, the Snyderverse will never truly die. And if Netflix really steps in, this time, it might not just come back, it might thrive. Because in the end, the Snyderverse was never just about superheroes, it was about second chances. And maybe, just maybe, this is DC's second chance, too.